getting ready to render your model. All right, so I've found a picture I'm going to use to throw my sea creature in. I just found this on the internet, and it was a freebie, I believe, from Creative Commons. You can search for things that are, that you don't have to pay for. You're using something for school, you're not selling it, so it's probably not a big deal. If you find something else as well, give credit where credit's due, however, if you show it in a portfolio or something like that. Okay, so I've got this open in Photoshop because you can take a look and see I've cleaned this guy up a little bit and tweaked him a bit, as you can see here. You can drag a little slider up here called see-through, and this actually just makes the entire ZBrush interface less opaque. And it's kind of really useful if you put your picture back there and do this see-through thing, because then you can find the best way to pose your model in relation to your picture, so you don't have to guess. Okay, now you could also bring it into ZBrush, of course, and do that, but this is a really kind of a nifty way to quickly get a sense of how things are going to look. As soon as you move into ZBrush proper, it goes back to full opacity. Okay, but while it's in here, you can do this. Okay, just thought I'd throw that in. So another thing here, as you can see, I've cleaned this up a little bit, done some different things to it, and I have put a light cap in, as I mentioned, because this is a matte cap material. Okay. Another really handy thing is that under Draw, down here, you can save views. Okay. So if I have a particular view here that I like, but I'm not sure, maybe I want to use this for something else. Maybe I want to put a second one in my picture later, like way over here, or kind of in the background, something small like that. Okay. You can go to the draw menu here, and you can say store cam. Okay. If you click store cam, you got a little thing here, and I'm going to say this small creature like that. Hit return. And now if I want to go back to my big one, I can click select camera from list, and this is a little arrow back and forth. Okay, that's my render view, and this is my other view. Okay, super handy. Okay, otherwise you're always trying to figure out what the heck was I, where was that, what was I doing. This makes it really easy to get a view back that you have stored. Okay, so there you go. That's very handy stuff. All right, on to rendering. Okay, so you always want to do a test first, just to make sure your lights look okay. So I just click BPR up here, like that, and I wait for it to render. And the reason it's taking longer is because I turned something on. Now that's fine for what I'm looking for to bring into Photoshop. Okay, so you go to the render menu. Okay, and here, let me make this look the way it would look if you guys were opening it up for the first time. So what you're looking for is this render properties tab. Okay, right here, and this is where you tell ZBrush what things you want to bring into Photoshop. Okay, essentially. So I want shadows. This AO is ambient occlusion. I would suggest turning that on. You want it to be transparent if you have some transparent stuff in there. Okay. You can play around with some of the others if you like. SSS is quite nice with certain materials. It makes them look like they have a little more color underneath the skin. Okay, which is kind of fun to play around with. Okay, but those are the biggies: shadows, AO, and transparency. Okay, it's automatically going to give you the color, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, then when you click the button, what it's going to do is it's going to render each of those pieces as a separate image. Okay, and then we'll bring those into Photoshop in the next video. I know I keep saying it's the last video, and there's always one more. And you find those under BPR render pass. Okay, I'm going to click that open. Because I already clicked this once, you can actually see what they are here. This is the composite. Go over on the right. Shaded, the same thing as composite. This is a depth cue. Okay, so this is, remember we talked about layer masks. You can use this to make your fish fade from the background into the foreground more dramatically if you like. I have a shadow pass. Okay, so these are all the shadows that are on that image. Okay, and we're going to use this with multiply to put these onto the shaded version of the image. Okay, and I've got AO. Okay, so this is ambient occlusion. It's basically keeping some or adding some shadow into areas that are away from the light and that are more into cavities in terms of the actual object. So you'll see most of it in the mouth area here, and as it comes forward, and then some as it goes into the back, and then the all-important mask. Okay, so this is actually what we're going to use to mask it so that it can be seen with that water behind it. Okay, in contrast with some of the other channels that we've got here. Okay, now it's kind of funky, but if you click on these, you actually are then given the opportunity to save them. Okay, so if I click on shaded here, which I want to do, it's going to say, okay, how do you want to save this? I'm going to save it as a normally I'd save it as a PSD. I'm going to try a PNG this time. PSD will work as well. Okay, and it just says BPR render PNG. Okay, I'm going to just stick a new folder in here. Creature renders. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other ones. Okay, depth, and it's going to say BPR depth. Again, I'm going to save it as, I guess I'm going to save this as a PSD. Okay, we'll go with that. It's because it's black and white and PNGs are always RGB, so it's going to be a little different. Okay, and I've got shadow here. And then AO, and it's labeling each of these for me. And then finally mask, like so. Okay, there we go. All right, and that's all there is really to it. Now, if you're a avid YouTube person or have been reading a lot about ZBrush, you will notice that there's also a plugin where you can bring ZBrush stuff to Photoshop. Okay, I'm showing you this the manual way. This is another way to go. However, I find, at least for beginners, it's too complicated because it brings in way more stuff than you need, and it puts it in about 12 different folders with channels and things in it. It just complicates things a bit. Okay, so we're going to do this the manual way. Once you know that, you're good to go anyway. Okay, so stay tuned for the next one where I bring all these guys into Photoshop. Okay, hang loose.